It begins not with a roar, but with the rhythmic, terrifying ticking of a clock that exists only in the collective unconscious of the human species. We are gathered here to dismantle the illusion of chaos. You have been told that life is a series of accidents, a chaotic tumble through an uncaring universe, where fortune favors the bold and tragedy strikes without rhyme or reason. That is the first lie. It is the lie that keeps you playing a game you do not understand, rolling dice that are weighted against you, and moving pieces across a board that stretches into infinite dimensions. To understand the winning move, we must first accept the terrifying premise that life is not a poem, nor a journey, nor a test of moral character. It is an equation. It is a closed system governed by immutable laws of probability, game theory, and biological imperatives that were coded into your basal ganglia long before the first stone was stacked upon another to form a shelter. We are embarking on a journey of 1,000 minutes to solve this equation, and this is the first step into the abyss of absolute clarity. Consider the silence of a chess player before a grandmaster. In that silence, there is no luck. There is only the branching capability of the future. Every possible move creates a new universe, a new timeline of victory or defeat. Now expand that board to include 8 billion players, each holding pieces made of flesh and ambition, playing on a terrain that shifts with the tectonic plates of history and economics. This is the game we are analyzing. The search for a mathematical solution to human existence is the oldest obsession of our kind. It is the ghost that haunted Pythagoras when he heard the music of the spheres. It is the madness that consumed Georg Cantor as he stared into the face of infinity and realized it came in different sizes. It is the cold steel logic of John von Neumann, who looked at the horrors of global thermonuclear war and saw only a matrix of payoffs. F's and penalties. We must peel back the skin of history to see the clockwork beneath. To find the winning move, we must first look at the architects of our reality. Go back to the year 1944. The world is burning. Cities are being reduced to ash. In the midst of this carnage, von Neumann and Oscar Morgenstern publish a text that changes the fundamental understanding of human interaction. They call it Theory of Games and Economic Behavior. Before this moment, conflict was viewed through the lens of passion, ideology, or courage. After this moment, conflict became a maximizing function. They proposed that if humans are rational agents, a distinct and dangerous assumption we will dissect later, then there is always an optimal strategy. There is always a way to minimize your maximum loss. This is the minimax theorem. It sounds dry, clinical, harmless. But apply it to a marriage, apply it to a career, apply it to the survival of a lineage. It implies that if you are smart enough, if you are cold enough, you can navigate the labyrinth of life without ever hitting a dead end. But the psychological cost of this calculation is infinite. Let us dig deeper into the soil of the human mind. Why do you crave the winning move? It is not merely greed. It is the biological terror of the zero sum. Evolution has wired you to believe that for you to win, another must lose. Resources are finite. Mates are finite. Time, the most precious commodity of all, is decaying at a constant rate. Every second you listen to this narrative is a chip pushed into the center of the table that you can never take back. This scarcity mindset creates a cortisol drip in the brain, a perpetual state of low-grade fight or flight that clouds your ability to see the board clearly. You make mistakes because you are afraid. You fold when you should hold. You bluff when your hand is empty and your eyes are wide with panic. The mathematical solution requires the excision of fear. It requires the adoption of a viewpoint that is nearly sociopathic in its detachment. To solve for X, you must stop caring about what X represents. we must also confront the concept of the Nash Equilibrium. John Nash, a mind so beautiful and so fractured that it could see the patterns in the chaos of pigeons pecking at breadcrumbs, realized that in a non-cooperative game, there exists a state where no player can improve their position by unilaterally changing their strategy. This is the stalemate of modern existence. You work a job you hate to pay for a car that gets you to the job. You maintain social relationships that drain you because the cost of isolation is perceived as higher. You are trapped in a local optimum, a peak that is not the highest mountain, but is surrounded by valleys of death you are too afraid to cross. Society is a massive, interlocking Nash equilibrium. To make the winning move, to truly break the game, you must be willing to do the irrational. You must be willing to descend into the alley. You must violate the equilibrium. History is littered with those who tried to break the code. Look at the Stoics of ancient Rome. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, holding the weight of an empire on his shoulders, writing to himself in a tent on the Germanic front. He tried to solve the equation by removing the variable of desire. If you desire nothing, you cannot lose. Victory becomes internal. This is a valid mathematical approach. If the numerator of your wants is 0, the value of your suffering is 0. But it is a solution of retreat. It is the solution of the monk, the ascetic, the corpse. We are looking for the solution of the victor. We want to engage with the world, not withdraw from it. We want to maximize the function, not delete it. Consider the phenomenon of Laplace's demon. Pierre-Simon Laplace, in the year 1814, postulated an intellect which at a certain moment would know all forces that set nature in motion and all positions of all items of which nature is composed. If this intellect were also vast enough to submit these data to analysis, it would embrace in a single formula the movements of the greatest bodies of the universe and those of the tiniest atom. For such an intellect, nothing would be uncertain, and the future, as the past, would be present to its eyes. This is the dream of determinism. If we accept this, then the winning move was made at the moment of the Big Bang. You're listening to this, your breathing, your heartbeat, the thoughts forming in your mind right now, they are merely the dominoes falling exactly as they were arranged 13.8 billion years ago. Does this comfort you, or does it terrify you? If the script is already written, then the winning move is simply to play your part without resistance. But the human ego revolts against this. You demand agency. You demand the right to be the author of your own catastrophe. The friction between deterministic physics and the psychological illusion, free will, is where the game is played. It is in this friction that the winning move exists. It is not a single action, but a meta-strategy. It is the ability to recognize the algorithms running in your own brain. We are discussing the heuristics of the hunter-gatherer mind, trapped in a digital glass cage. You are running software designed for the savannah, on hardware that is degrading, in an environment that is alien. The confirmation bias that kept your ancestors from being eaten by lions now keeps you trapped in echo chambers of ideology. The sunk cost fallacy that kept them from abandoning a partially built shelter now keeps you in failing investments and toxic relationships. The winning move begins with the reprogramming of these outdated subroutines. We must analyze the concept of entropy. The second law of thermodynamics states that the total entropy of an isolated system can never decrease over time. The universe tends toward disorder. Your life is a battle against this disorder. Death. You build and time erodes. You learn and age degrades memory. You accumulate wealth and inflation or theft or death disperses it. The mathematical solution to life must account for this inevitable decay. Most people play a linear game. They try to add value faster than entropy subtracts it. This is a losing strategy because entropy is exponential. The winning move must be geometric. It must be recursive. You must build systems that build themselves. You must invest in assets, intellectual, financial, social, that possess positive convexity, meaning they gain more from volatility than they lose. Let us traverse the dark corridors of probability theory. The law of large numbers tells us that the average of the results obtained from a large number of trials should be close to the expected value. But you do not live a large number of lives. You live one life. You are a sample size of one. What applies to the population does not apply to you. The average human has one testicle and the ovary, but no single human matches that description. You cannot rely on the average. You must understand the tails of the distribution, the black swans, the events that have a near zero probability of occurring, but infinite impact when they do. The winning move is not about optimizing for the average they. It is about positioning yourself for the catastrophic outlier or the miraculous windfall. It is about buying insurance against ruin while purchasing lottery tickets where the odds are miscalculated by the house. There is a rhythm to history that suggests a fractal nature to time itself. The rise and fall of empires, the boom and bust of markets, the beating of a heart, they all follow similar mathematical patterns. Elliott waves, Fibonacci retracements, the golden ratio found in the spiral of a galaxy, and the arrangement of petals on a flower. If life is fractal, then the pattern of the whole is present in every part. How you do anything is how you do everything. The discipline you would apply to making your bed is the same discipline you apply to building an empire. The weakness you show in a moment of minor temptation is the same weakness that will destroy you when the stakes are life and death. The winning move requires a holistic alignment of the fractal geometry of your character. You cannot be a winner in the macro and a loser in the micro. The math does not support it. We are drifting now into the psychology of the sucker. In game theory, there is a distinct fear of being the one who cooperates when everyone else defects. This is the prisoner's dilemma. Two criminals are arrested. If both stay silent, they get a light sentence. If one betrays the other, the betrayer goes free and the silent one gets a maximum sentence. If both betray, they both get a medium sentence. Rational self-interest dictates betrayal. If you betray, you either go free or get a medium sentence. If you stay silent, you risk the maximum sentence. So logically, everyone betrays everyone. The world becomes a prison. But the winning move in an iterated prisoner's dilemma, one played over and over again, which is what life is not betrayal. It is distinct strategy known as tit for tat. You start with cooperation. If the other player cooperates, you continue to cooperate. If they betrayed you, you betray them immediately in the next round. You punish the defection, then you forgive. This mathematical proof of the value of forgiveness and retaliation is central to the winning move. You must be dangerous enough to punish and secure enough to forgive. But what of the variables we cannot see? The dark matter of the soul? The subconscious drives that Freud and Jung tried to map like explorers in a dark continent? We are driven by the shadow, the repressed, darker side of our personality, the aggression, the lust, the envy. If you deny the shadow, it will sabotage your calculations. It will introduce errors into your code. The man who claims to be purely altruistic is a ticking. The time bomb of resentment. The winning move requires the integration of the shadow. You must know exactly how dangerous you are capable of being so that you can choose not to be. Innocence is not virtue. Innocence is merely a lack of opportunity. Virtue is the capability of monsters controlled by the intellect. This integration allows for a unified will, a vector of force that is not canceled out by internal resistance. Let us pause to consider the number 0. It was an invention that revolutionized mathematics, a placeholder for nothingness that allowed for the calculation of everything. In your life, the concept of 0 is the concept of death, the ultimate limit. The winning move must factor in the finite nature of the game. If the game goes on forever, strategy changes, but the game ends. For you, the game ends. This creates a time preference problem. Do you optimize for pleasure now or security later? The discount rate you apply to your future self determines your destiny.
High time preference is the mark of the loser, the addict, the impulsive spender, the reactionary. Low time preference is the mark of the builder. But if the time preference is too low, you die with a vault full of gold and a life empty of experience. The equation requires a dynamic variable for time preference that shifts as the limit of zero approaches. We must also speak of information asymmetry. In every transaction, in every conversation, one party knows more than the other. The used car salesman knows the transmission is failing, you do not. The politician knows the bill will cause inflation, the voter does not. The winning move is entirely dependent on acquiring an information advantage. In the age of the internet, information is abundant, but signal is scarce. The noise is deafening. The ability to filter, to synthesize, to pattern match across disciplines, this is the new alchemy. You must become an investigative historian of your own reality. Who benefits from what you believe?
Who profits from your fear? Follow the money, follow the dopamine, follow the power. The winning move is never found in the headlines, it is found in the footnotes. It is found in the redacted lines of the report. As we descend further into this first volume, we must acknowledge the role of chaos theory, the butterfly effect. A butterfly flaps its wings in Brazil and causes a tornado in Texas. Small variances in initial conditions yield vastly different outcomes. This makes long-term prediction impossible. You cannot script the next 20 years, you can only script your reaction function. The winning move is not a rigid plan, it is a state of anti-fragility. Anti-fragility, a concept formalized by Nassim Taleb, describes things that gain from disorder. A glass vase is fragile, it hates stress. A steel beam is robust, it resists stress. The human immune system is anti-fragile, it requires stress to get stronger. Your psychology, your finances, your life must be anti-fragile. You must reorganize your life so that volatility feeds you. When the market crashes, you should have cash to buy the bottom. When you lose a job, you should have the skills to pivot to a better one. When tragedy strikes, you should have the philosophical framework to convert pain into wisdom. The narrative of the winning move is also a narrative of power. Who holds the power in a relationship? The one who cares less. This is the principle of least interest. It is a cold, hard law of social dynamics. If you need the deal more than the other guy, you will lose the negotiation. If you need the lover more than they need you, you will lose the relationship. The mathematical solution requires you to cultivate options. Options give you the power to walk away, and the power to walk away is the only true power. Without it, you are a slave to the circumstance. We are building a manifesto of liberation through leverage. Leverage of money, leverage of labor, leverage of code, and leverage of the mind. 3,000 words into a 1,000,000-word thesis, and we have only scratched the surface of the lacquer on the chessboard. We have not yet discussed the Pareto principle, where 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Most of your life is waste. Most of your thoughts are noise. Most of your actions are futile. The winning move is a process of ruthless elimination. It is the carving away of the inessential until only the diamond remains. We have not yet discussed the biological algorithms of mating strategy, the evolutionary psychology of status hierarchies, or the computational theory of the mind. All of these are variables in the grand equation. Listen to the hum of the machine. The civilization around you is a construct of numbers. The steel in the skyscrapers was calculated for tensile strength.
The traffic lights are timed by algorithms. The price of bread is determined by futures markets. You are living in a matrix of math. To ignore it is to be a
Uff in the wind. To understand it is to become the wind. This volume will serve as your primer, your codex, your map through the labyrinth. We will dissect the failures of the past, the great men and women who miscalculated, who divided by zero and destroyed themselves. And we will study the silent winners, the Grandmasters of life who moved through the world with the precision of a scalpel, cutting through the illusion to seize the reality. Prepare yourself. The data density will increase. The darkness will deepen. We are not here to offer you platitudes. We are here to offer you the source code. The winning move is waiting, but first you must understand the board. You must understand the pieces, and most importantly, you must understand the player. You, the variable that changes everything. The clock is ticking. The game has already begun. Your move.